Welcome to your Tuesday Sports Memo YouTube video. I'm Ian Cameron, one of the Sports Memo handicappers. Been a busy day as we continue to get ready for the NFL and college football upcoming weekend. Week 3 in college, Week 2 in the NFL. Busy preparing for that. Also did the Sports Memo podcast with Andrew Lang earlier today. Did some write-ups for the Sports Memo blog. So it's been a busy day, and now we're coming to you in video form here on our brand new Sports Memo YouTube channel, which launched yesterday. If you didn't get a chance to look at yesterday's video, definitely go do that because we put together some really good information for college football and get things going here with the Sports Memo YouTube channel on Monday. And we're looking to do 3 videos a week. It's Tuesday, and every Tuesday we're going to be looking at the NFL card from the past weekend, just recapping some of the things that I saw that stuck out to me in the NFL. We're going to go game by game, quick hitter style, and talk about what took place in the NFL in Week 1. We're going to start with last Thursday night, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots kicking off the season, and the New England Patriots with the 28-21 victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And on paper, it'll look like the Patriots, dominated that game. And yes, they were able to move the football very well against Pittsburgh's defense, which was a sore spot throughout the preseason. Tom Brady and the Patriots were able to put together multiple good drives in that football game. But New England's defense, on the flip side, didn't exactly play great. Pittsburgh missed some opportunities, missed field goals in the first half, really hurt them. Josh Scobie really did not do them any favors. Some turnovers also hurt the Steelers, but they were able to move the football against that Patriots defense. That would be something I would be concerned about for New England moving forward. They got the win. Pretty much a push if you got New England at -7. And it really depends on when and where you bet it. But the Patriots, a good first win, but and the offense was fine against that Pittsburgh's defense, but their own defense struggled a little bit and would be a concern. And they got a tough one this weekend as they play the Buffalo Bills on the road. Next game was Green Bay and Chicago. Green Bay with a 31-23 win. Give the Bears credit. Bears played hard. Really did a good job on the Green Bay Packers' potent offense, of course, led by Aaron Rodgers in the first half. But as the game went on, Chicago's defense wore down, started to get fatigued. They were out on the field a lot. Aaron Rodgers really moved the football at will against Chicago in the second half. And then the game still relatively close, and it came time for Jay Cutler to try to make a play for his team. What happened? 4th down, they get stopped inside the 10-yard line, turnover on downs, and then they have another shot later in the fourth quarter. And what happens? We knew it had to happen. It had to happen. It had to come. It was that Jay Cutler interception at the worst time possible. Green Bay returns it all the way back into Chicago territory. I think it was Clay Matthews that picked that off. Packers go in for the touchdown to seal the game and get that victory. They also cover the number, and the game goes over the total thanks to a late touchdown by Chicago in the final minute that sent that game over the total. But, the Bears, some positives, played hard, played well at times, but again, defensively let down in the second half, did not play well there, and Jay Cutler makes the critical mistake at the key time. Same damn thing we've been saying for 3-4 years now, so what else is new there? And Green Bay ends up getting the victory. Next game up last weekend, Kansas City, 27-20. They got out to a huge lead over Houston. Alex Smith directing some very good drives, but then they got just shut down completely in the second half. Houston tightened things up defensively, but the real problem for the Texans in that football game was the play of quarterback Brian Hoyer. He was just awful in his first start as the Texans QB. He got benched. Ryan Mallett comes in, and he doesn't exactly play a whole lot better. I mean, they do get some drives going, but by that time, the Chiefs may have been, laying their foot off the gas pedal, maybe guilty of easing up in the second half with the big lead, so you don't want to overreact to the way Mallett played. But there's no doubt, I mean, Houston certainly has issues at the quarterback position moving forward. I don't know if Brian Hoyer or Ryan Mallett is going to be a guy that can consistently move the football for this Texans offense in the passing game. Going to be something you're going to want to watch and something I'd be a little hesitant to trust them in. Cleveland and the Jets, 31-10. Jets get the cover as 3.5 point favorites, and that line crept up a little bit toward kickoff. They get the 31-10 win. The defense was smothering. I mean, Josh McCown gets injured. Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football comes in, and he actually executes a really good drive. And you think, boy, he might be onto something here. But boy, after that, it was nothing from the Cleveland offense. They were shut down completely. Manziel made some mistakes, some turnovers, got the best of the Browns. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, for all the kidding I've called him over the years and joking about calling him Ryan Pickpatrick because he throws so many interceptions, he managed the offense well, avoided mistakes for the most part, and took what the defense gave him and had a solid game manager type of game. And you have to come away actually in that first outing for Fitzpatrick very impressed with the way he played. The question is, can he continue? But for Todd Bowles, very good debut as the New York Jets head coach, and a good first game for the Jets. It'll be interesting to see how they continue that. They'll play the Indianapolis Colts next Monday night. And speaking of those Colts, 27-14, they get stomped on by the Buffalo Bills. It was just domination by the Bills in the trenches on both sides of the football. They ran the football well. Tyrod Taylor looked pretty good. I mean, his numbers weren't gaudy, but he made some good throws. The big bomb to Percy Harvin for the first Bills touchdown was big. Get them going. They were able to run the football, and that defensive front, and boy, it's ferocious for the Bills. You got some players on that defensive front. You got the likes of Mario Williams. You got Jerry Hughes. You've got Marcel Darius. You go on down the list. That's a very stout defensive front, and Indianapolis' offensive line completely overwhelmed. They couldn't run the football. Andrew Luck was scrambling all day. Pressure on the quarterback from start to finish from that Bills defense on Andrew Luck, who had probably one of the worst games you'll see him have. Struggle to get anything going in the passing game. You don't see Luck often, 26 of 49, in the 50s in completion rate percentage, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So credit to the Bills. Great first game for Rex Ryan. We'll see how they fare with the Patriots coming in. It's always a tough game with them, but definitely you have to like that first effort by the Bills. That defense is going to keep them in games. I mean, if they can even get just average or better quarterback play pretty much out of Tyrod Taylor, that team is going to be a tough team to beat. I mean, that's all they need. They don't need elite quarterback play. Some teams do. This team doesn't. The defense is there for the Bills. They just need to get that don't make a mistake type of quarterback production. And if they can get that, they'll be tough moving forward. Miami with the 17-10 win over Washington. A solid game from the Dolphins. They weren't exactly fantastic in any one phase. The offense struggled a bit against the Redskins, but the defense was terrific. I mean, Kirk Cousins really had a hard time getting anything going, and it was a solid, road win. Not flashy, not overly impressive, but they did what they should have done, and that's beat the lowly Washington Redskins. Although the Redskins, to their credit, solid defensively, but again, Kirk Cousins and the offense couldn't get anything going, and they couldn't overcome that in the end. Miami now gets that win and already taking a lot of money. Next week they're on the road facing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we've already seen that line go up from Miami -4 to Miami now -6. So already people going against Jacksonville, who not very good in their first game of the season. 20-9 loss against Carolina. What's there to say? I mean, the offense, there's very little skill position talent on this team to support quarterback Blake Bortles, and we saw that on full display. Carolina, even with a questionable offense, Cam Newton's not exactly got a guy that's loaded with offensive skill position talent, especially at wide receiver after the Kelvin Benjamin injury in training camp. But Carolina's still got that good defense, although it will take a hit with the Luke Kuechly injury that was suffered during that game. A huge loss, obviously, to the Panthers on the defensive side of the football. It'll be interesting to see just how long that injury keeps Luke Kuechly out of action. But a 20-9 win for the Carolina Panthers last week. St. Louis with one of the surprising, results of week 1, 34-31 win over Seattle, an overtime victory. Nick Foles, a solid debut. And Seattle, to me, despite being in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, they've got questions. The offensive line was awful in that game. Didn't give Russell Wilson any time to throw the football. Running the football was a problem. And their secondary misses Cam Chancellor. If Cam Chancellor wants to use evidence for better bargaining power and more leverage in his holdout with Seattle, he's got it after this game, because the secondary was picked upon by St. Louis, by Nick Foles in this game. So if you're Seattle, you got some issues. Offensive line's got to be better. How are you going to figure out your secondary without Cam Chancellor, a guy you clearly missed on the field in St. Louis in week 1? And it doesn't get any easier for the Seahawks as they're going to go to Lambeau facing the Green Bay Packers this Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. So that'll be a fascinating game to watch. New Orleans and Arizona, my favorite game of the week for obvious reasons. I had a 20-star winner at Sportsmemo with the Arizona Cardinals, a 31-19 win, punched in a late touchdown to put that game out of reach. Really good performance, and it's a lot of fun. It's funny to hear people still say Arizona's regressing this year. They're not going to be as good. I don't buy it. They're well coached with Bruce Arians. They've got a good quarterback and Carson Palmer. If Carson Palmer stays healthy, he can still play, and he showed that against New Orleans in Week 1. And the defense, I know there's some personnel they have to replace up front, but that secondary of Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, they both play up to their potential. It's got a pretty good secondary that the Cardinals have. So I'm not ready to write this team off. And in fact, I'll be looking for spots to bet on them throughout the course of the NFL season. On the other side, you got New Orleans with secondary issues, another poor performance really by their defense. And I don't know if it's going to get much better early on as things progress here in September. San Diego with the comeback over Detroit 33-28. Hard to really gauge that game. Not very high on the Lions. They've got lots of people they've got to replace on defense. Matthew Stafford still, was not effective in the second half once San Diego made their halftime adjustments and took over that game and won 33-28. San Diego, a team that might be a little bit better than some people think, but still too soon to tell after just one game. Tennessee, a big 42-14 win over Tampa. Really, that was simple as I didn't buy Tampa Bay laying points with Jameis Winston at quarterback.